Hey, Chris Liepe here with the Recording Revolution with the most important thing you can do for the music that you create, that you help create, that happens in your home studio space. As you know, if you've been following the videos I've been doing lately, I've had the opportunity to do lots of in-studio sessions since finishing my room, and it's been really exciting and fun to invite people into this space and be creative. And like we all should, and as I knew I would, I'm learning a ton. And so being able to pass these things on to you through this medium is really, really a privilege. So thank you for watching. I want to share with you a story from my most recent session that is going to illustrate this all-important aspect of being a producer, of being a collaborator, a musician, a studio owner, creative in general. And if you'd like more help specifically with how to get sounds, routing, what kind of DAW you should use, what kind of equipment you should get started with, that kind of thing, click the link below and join my free recording course, and I'll help you get started from there. So a local musician here in town decided to book some studio time for him and his dad in my studio as a gift to his dad for Christmas. And this local guy, prominent musician, has done lots of stuff in the studio before, but his dad had not. And his dad had also, the past few years, had quite the experience of coming out of a career, long-time career, and retiring. And was kind of nervous about coming into the studio with two other musicians, even though one was his son. But we got in here and started having a lot of fun recording songs and really just getting a feel for the style that, we'll call him Dad, had. And so we recorded a couple rough takes of some of the songs that he was working on, and we came into the control room here and we started listening back, and he had this really conflicted look on his face. You could tell he was having a really good time, but you could also see on his face that there was some extreme uneasiness. And he went on to tell me that I never knew that I sounded that way. All these little things are coming out in what I'm hearing that I don't like. Some of what I do like, but a lot of what I don't like. I didn't know that my voice sounded quite that way. It's really exposed. And so I went through the normal things that I normally do as a producer and said, well, these are just scratch takes, and we're going to be building a lot around these things, and you're going to have an opportunity to fix things and do as many takes as you'd like, and let's get you comfortable in this setting so that you can feel free to cut loose and express the way that you normally do. So Dad got back in the booth and started playing this first song again, and we got some really good takes, and we started doing overdubs, and we got a lot done. It was really fun, and we closed out the first day having only done one song, but other than mixing, pretty much nailed it. We all felt really good about the day. They were going to be coming back the next day, and the next morning they show up, and they sit in the chairs in the back of the studio, and Dad looks at me and he goes, I really had a good time yesterday, but I realized something. And he shows me the lyrics to the song that we're going to be recording that day, the second day. And it's talking about how he knows that as long as he recognizes that he is loved and accepted in his life, that he will be an overcomer. He shows me these lyrics, and then he proceeds to tell me about his experience of retiring from a job that he'd been at for a long time, and that he had some PTSD from his experiences in this job, stressful job, and how he hadn't been dealing with all the time that he had on his hands very well, and that he had gotten in trouble with a DUI and severed a few family relationships, and just was really anxious, partly about bringing some of those emotions into this recording session in light of this song. And then what he told me was that he had written this song 20 years ago. And so we got to unpack this idea that he had written a song 20 years ago to his older self. And that the creativity that he had put out in his younger years was now having this opportunity to come to full realization and reality in this session. That if he embraces the fact that he is loved by his son, who's right here, by other people in his life, by his creator, then he will overcome these things that are happening, these emotions and these occurrences that are going on right now in his life. And this session can be a representation of working through that reasoning. You see, it started in this session about the music, but it became about a highly emotional and spiritual interaction as we entered into the creation of this next song. It was incredible. Then I said, all right, Dad, go into the booth. We're going to turn down the lights. We're going to block that window off. Son and I are going to be in here. We're not going to listen. We're going to shut down the monitors. I want you to go in there and I want you to meditate on what you wrote, and I want you to just play. I'm going to have the mics open so that you can hear yourself. Play on your acoustic guitar and sing. And we set the mood. We let that happen for a while. And then we opened everything up, kept the lights low. I said, all right, let's give this a try. This doesn't have to be the take. And before we went into this next stage, we read these lyrics out loud, and we lifted them up and we let them go. And we ended up doing 2 more takes of his initial stuff before we ended up doing other things to the song. We got to the end of that take, of the second take, and we were in tears, all of us. As a matter of fact, at the very end of that second take, he was so emotional and so engaged in what he was doing that he got a little choked up at the end of his performance. And we ended up listening back to that, and we ended up keeping that one. It wasn't perfect, but it was really good. And it was so engaging and so real and perfectly able to be workable for what we needed to do in the project. And initially, he listened back to it and he was like, oh, wow, that's, again, a little surprised, but I talked to him about how the last song on Kurt Cobain, on Nirvana's Nevermind, where Butch Vig dangled a mic over him as he was playing the acoustic guitar and singing, that ended up being the take that they used on the album. And then Dave Grohl and everybody else put things around it, and it worked really well. I said, sometimes the most emotionally authentic performances are the ones you just have to keep. Dad had overcome a lot throughout the course of the sessions here at the studio. And it became symbolic of him overcoming these other things in his life that didn't initially have anything to do with music, but his own creativity, his own music brought this spiritual connection to the forefront and strongly impacted me and his son and him as he left these walls. And now they have this music to listen through and remember when they struggle. I overcame. I am overcoming. And I have overcome because I am loved. Whoa! Why do I tell you this story? Because if I had approached this session like I have other sessions in the past, especially ones where there's things we got to get done, or I'm doing it to try to impress people, or because it's some job that's higher profile or whatever, I would have missed what I should be doing in every session. I would have missed the most important thing, which is not to have all your gear ready, which is not to have all the plugins, which is not to choose the right mic, which is not to all, those things are important, some, but the most important thing that you can do as a producer, musician, collaborator is listen and be available. Don't just listen to the music. Watch and listen to your clients. Watch and listen to your collaborators. Make them feel comfortable enough to open up to you. Use the experience that you have making music to be more than making music. To be an experience that then not only creates better music, but assigns and creates meaning around the music that is being created. And as a result, the music will be exponentially better because it is loved, because it was conceived out of such meaning. And this will bleed over into the other people that are listening to it that have no idea what happened in that session. The most important thing for you as a producer, as a musician, and a collaborator is to listen and embrace genuine human interactions. Channel those into authentic creativity. Don't try to control the situation. Let things flow as they might. And accept with non-judgment the rewards you get out of this. I hope this has been beneficial and that you've enjoyed the story. Again, if you'd like more help with the technical sides of recording, be sure to click the link below and join my free recording course. We'll see you for more.